Hi, I'm Jacob Bittens, director of Go to Hell, and this is the Hot Set. From a very young age, I was making art in a way that sort of naturally progressed to directing. At the youngest age, I was doing drawings and paintings, but I moved into comic books, which ultimately now I look back on and they're a lot like storyboards for what I would do later. Started doing animation, and then I started to feel like that wasn't far enough, so I started working with actors. Obviously, it began with myself and my friends, and we'd make movies, but I started really getting into how you could create emotion by using psychology and sort of talking to people and really manipulating people, but you can get people to a really interesting place and tell a story if you just learn how to talk to people. I learned that it's a very collaborative process, that that actors are incredibly intelligent, wonderful human beings that can create on their own and make your story better than you ever thought or wrote, and you can tell a story in a better way than you can if you're just the writer. I think when you're directing, you have a story, but you can completely change the tone, and you can completely change if it's a fun movie or a sad movie. You can completely design the emotional landscape of the story if you're in the director's chair working with actors and all the rest of the crew. Go to Hell is my NYU thesis film. It's a film about a man who goes to hell for committing the cardinal sin, which is being boring. It's about somebody who didn't take advantage of life, and so in death he's doomed for eternity to spend his time in what is modeled after rural Connecticut. That's the hell in my film. Shot in my hometown. I'm sure they're gonna love that. It wasn't actually what I was gonna make originally for my thesis film. I had a really terrible idea, a few really terrible ideas, and it was a conversation with Ben Zeiger, a friend of mine. When I presented him with the original script for a different movie entirely, he said, "Why are you doing this? You're a funny guy and you have an interesting sense of humor, and you're making all these stupid romantic dramas about things that you don't understand because you're a loser." And I'm like, I am a loser. And he told me to think about the things that I loved watching and think about how I could share myself through a movie better. And I started sitting in parks and thinking about things that interested me and made me laugh. So I thought about my town, and I thought about what my primary feelings about my town are, and I realized I really hate my town. For the most part. It's a beautiful-ish, nice place. It's rural, it's secluded, and since I've come to New York, I've learned to appreciate it a lot more. But the reality is, wouldn't it be funny to talk about feeling trapped in a relatively nice place? So I started building a story about a guy whose eternal damnation would be just being in Connecticut forever. And then things sprung out of that. I liked the idea of having the devil as a character. I wanted to talk about religion, but not necessarily claim any one as my own or anyone as the right one. It makes fun of everything. Nobody's safe from it. Casting, I held casting calls and auditions for a lot of the lead roles. The lead role went to Alex Harold, who's a terrific actor, who was one of many people who came in to play a really difficult to audition for role, boring man in office. So he was just really interesting, and he was great at improv. He made a lot of things up. He went crazy during our audition, sort of, and we set up a situation where this boss would be berating this office drone, and we wanted to see how far we could push them, and then we wanted to see them push back. And when he pushed back, he just said the funniest things to our reader, and went crazy, and we knew he would be a lot of fun to work with.
I'm in hell?
Yes.
No, that can't be. I haven't done anything bad in my life.
What a pity. Might have helped your chances.
Money was always an issue. We didn't have the money until the last second. I mean, the game I always end up playing is I know, and I can't let anyone else know, that somewhere around a week before the shoot, it's really not possible unless something good happens and we get really lucky. And we did. Somebody made a final donation to the film in exchange for sound design work that I'm currently doing for him on his own short film. We lost an actor. He didn't read the script until pretty late in the game, and I didn't know how particularly religious he was. And while the film really isn't super offensive to religions, he didn't like what became the moral of the story to him, which I don't think, he had an incorrect interpretation of the film, that I was trying to like shit on his religion. I really wasn't. I was having fun with his religion, definitely, and honestly, it's, you know, people are sensitive to things like that, and I recognize that not everyone's gonna like my sense of humor. But we did lose him at the last second. You know who replaced him, actually? It's the same guy who made that donation. The same guy who's doing the sound design also just wanted to act in the film. So he's just in everything. And he was great. He was much better. The town could not have been more open to what we were doing. At first, we downplayed a lot of the things that the film was going to be about. You know, we said we want to shoot somewhere rural. We're looking for wide open landscapes. I live here. They know me. They like me. Great. Wonderful. But certainly if I had spun it a different way, they'd be like, well, aren't you kind of saying that our town is hell? And I'm like, yeah, maybe. I'm gonna get in so much trouble for this interview. But when we got there, I mean, everyone welcomed us with open arms. All of our locations were locked. Our contacts were great and receptive. We had people walking by who wanted to be in the movie. Honestly, I'm a little detached from what was happening. You'd have to ask my crew, because I was having a blast. But I just love doing that, and I sort of go into some sort of adrenaline void where, I don't know, 9 days went by and we'd shot a movie and I just was working the whole time. I didn't really notice it happening, but I remember having fun. This is definitely the biggest project, though, that I've made ever. Probably the longest. I made one feature, but it's a complete disaster and no one can see it. It must be hidden from the world. I was in high school and I really wanted to make a feature, and it's really angsty and it's 2 hours long, and it's amazing that it got made for pretty much free. It's like, I'm glad I did it. I learned a lot, but what I really learned was how not to make a movie ever again. Almost always I've directed what I write. I know I need to eventually direct other people's projects and other stories, but my experiences so far have been primarily negative in that front. I directed this movie, I won't name it or anything, but somebody wrote it for me with me in mind, and it was really kind of a disaster, because from the get-go I didn't exactly understand what it was and what it was about, and so I couldn't connect with it properly. And I know that that's just a matter of finding the right script. I think a director is right for a project or wrong for a project. I was wrong for that project. So I think if I can find material that I can connect to that's not mine, I'd be happy to direct it and it'd be a lot of fun. But so far, I think at my level, it's hard to, you know, be given that opportunity from somebody who's like a very gifted screenwriter is not gonna hand their film to me because they don't trust me. And that's fair. We're almost done. Earlier this morning, I was in a mix session, which is going to be the second to last mix session of the whole movie. All the assets are coming in. I've been looking at VFX of barns burning and heads exploding, and I'm getting really excited. I think that we're going to be done this summer, and we're going to premiere it somewhere, maybe even premiere it back in Connecticut, and then we're going to send it to a bunch of film festivals with our fingers crossed. After that, I'm not doing nothing, so I'm going to keep freelancing. I do a lot of lighting work, and I really enjoy it. So I'm going to keep doing that to survive, and I'm going to keep writing. I've got 5 features written or in development. I'm trying to get them places. I'm trying to get them in the right hands. It's really hard. No one gives a shit about query letters anymore. Nobody wants to see your work unless you already are somebody. It's a catch-22. So I'm going to keep writing until the script is good enough that they want to read it, and then hopefully seek representation. If I can't be a director, I'd love to at least be a writer. I really care about that a lot more. I love working with actors. I love having the power to mold a story in so many different ways, but when it comes down to it, I think the story needs to be good, and I want to help do that. I want to help make original content that is unique and sounds like me, or sounds like a crazy person, and I want to have fun and see good movies get made.
Hello, David. Welcome to hell.
I'm dead?
Quite.
I'm in hell?
Yes.
No, that can't be. I haven't done anything bad in my life.
What a pity. Might have helped your chances. Do you know what the real cardinal sin is? Being boring.